What do you think, Mike?
It's hard to say. You haven't any more film on him?
No, that's the only one of Field Marshal Nodge we've seen in 4 years. Here, I had these blown up.
Well, it could be the Field Marshal, and yet there's something not quite right. He looked a lot heavier when I saw him in 1958.
Old men usually get thinner.
There was something about the way he stood. He always held himself very erect.
Now, we think the Field Marshal was murdered 3 years ago. This man's an imposter. Put out as a figurehead when convenient.
No, it's possible, but can you be sure?
I thought you'd be able to tell me that, Mike.
Well, not from these pictures.
I don't think we haven't tried to get better ones. I've sent in a photographer, a good man, one of our own.
What happened?
We don't know. He just vanished. We have him listed as missing, believed dead.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, we'll give you all the gory details before you say whether you'll do the job or not.
Yeah, well, under the circumstances, I would like to learn those details right now.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that. Well, it goes like this. The Field Marshal appears every afternoon on the terrace of his castle. It's a place of public pilgrimage. There's a kind of an iron curtain conducted tour to view him from a distance. People come from all over the country to have a look.
Well, if he is a phony, why hasn't he been spotted?
Well, you can't see him from that distance.
That was one of Hitler's old gimmicks, wasn't it? Planting a man on the balcony or having a guy drive by in a fast car?
Yes, but Hitler always showed for the close-ups and the speeches. Now he never does.
What happens if we do prove that he's a double?
Well, we blow the whole rotten political setup. The Field Marshal's like a god to these people. He holds it all together.
Now, how do I get into the country? I understand they're not issuing visas any longer, especially not for newspapermen.
That is arranged. We've already given you a new name, a new identity, and a new job.
Well, I hope it's a good one.
It is. Now, your name is Jenkins.
Jenkins.
And your employer is a Mrs. Rosewall from Boston.
Rosewall, Boston.
Who lives in Vienna.
Hmm.
And your job is her chauffeur.
Jenkins.
Yes, Mrs. Rosewall.
At what speed did I instruct you to travel?
30 miles per hour, ma'am.
Exactly.
Harrisburg.
Major Kalinsky, for the past 5 years, you have been asking for my passport. I hope by next year I shall have qualified for the word. Please.
Harrisburg. Why is it you have a new chauffeur?
Because my former chauffeur was too old to stand the rigors of your regime.
Have you anything to declare? Gold, diamonds, cameras?
No, of course, he's got nothing to declare.
Get out. Out.
If Mrs. Rosewall needs any help, I'll give it.
Oh, that was very considerate of you, Jenkins. I think you and I are going to get on very well together. Now, would you take my stick?
Well, are we free to go?
You may proceed.
Thank you.
Driver. Harrisburg.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Proceed for 30 kilometers on this road, and then I'll tell you where to turn off.
Who are you?
Comrade Volvikov, official interpreter.
It's all right, Jenkins. We're given an interpreter whether we like it or not.
Yes, ma'am. Am I allowed to talk?
If you wish.
You have very beautiful eyes.
Why don't you ask about our most recent production figures on crude oil?
All right, I'll buy that. What are your most recent production figures for crude oil?
Last year, we produced 7 million barrels at our Grigoriev refineries, thereby making a saving of 3 months on our 5-year plan.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
My dear Mrs. Rosewall, welcome back once again.
Good evening, Rudolph. Now, give me your hand. Thank you.
We have your usual suite ready, and your heavy luggage has arrived safely.
Oh, good.
You will have dinner in your room, of course.
Of course.
Such degrading servility only lingers on in tourist hotels.
Maybe he just respects her.
Why don't you take the car and drive it off to the garage? I'll be waiting for you in the lounge.
Is it okay for a chauffeur to sit with an upper bracket comrade?
Listen, in our country, all men are equal.
That apply to the girls, too?
Mrs. Rosewall has retired to her suite, comrade. She does not wish to be disturbed.
Where's my room?
Room 63, comrade. Second floor. The chauffeur is in room 65.
Good evening, Trina, my dear.
Good evening, Colonel.
Did you have a pleasant journey?
Not particularly.
And what did you make of the new chauffeur?
Nothing. He talks too much and he asks stupid questions. He is in room 65, in case you want to have his luggage searched.
You're very conscientious, Trina, my dear.
I will show you to your room.
Thank you. What do we do for dinner?
We can either eat here or, well, if you wish, I will show you that nightlife in Grozny is as gay as in any capitalist city.
Great. I'll just wash and change. Black tie?
I shall be going as I am.
Oh, it's a pity. I'll bet you'd look great dressed as a girl.
And this opinion still is right. You're bound to lead a shocking life, or both with someone else's wife, in gay Bohemia. Hurrah, 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 for gay Bohemia. When every kind of life you've tried, you find a lot of the shady side. Yes, find a lot of the shady side in gay Bohemia.
Do you have cabarets as good as this in America?
Well, not quite so daring.
Well, I do hope you are not shocked.
Maybe just a bit.
Did you think that the dress of the singer was a bit too,
Well, after all, I'm just a shy American. Would it be permissible for me to ask you to dance?
Oh, certainly. I'm a very good dancer.
Who's the old guy in the picture? The proprietor?
Oh, certainly not. That's Field Marshal Nodge, the father of our people.
Oh, I am sorry. He, nice-looking old fella.
You know, he's 87 and still as lively as he used to be 20 years ago.
You've seen him recently, then?
Anybody can see him anytime. You can watch him right from the top of the hill next to his schloss.
Golly, I'd sure like to see him. But then I suppose, being a tourist...
Oh, being a tourist makes it easier still. You're permitted to watch the Field Marshal through a special telescope. You have to pay for it, of course.
Oh, of course.
You would like me to take you there?
Well, why not? I've got a lot of time to kill while Mrs. Rosewall is taking the water.
I think it's about time we left.
Well, why? It's only 10:30.
Nevertheless, it's late enough.
Come in.
Good morning, ma'am.
Oh, good morning, Jenkins. Come in. Well, now what can I do for you?
Well, I was just wondering, since you won't be needing me today, if I could take a little time off to see some of the sights. You know, historic places and buildings, monuments.
And all that jazz?
That's right, ma'am.
You'll be taking the interpreter?
Well, I think it would be more correct to say that the interpreter is taking me.
Yes, you're so right. She'll definitely be taking you. Well, let me give you some spending money.
Oh, I have plenty, thank you.
Jenkins, what are you up to?
What do you mean, ma'am?
You're no more a chauffeur than I am.
I don't understand, Mrs. Rosewall. You saw my references.
Oh, those. Well, whatever you're up to, Jenkins, you're not fooling me. Oh, and by the way, if ever you get into trouble or take the wrong road by any chance, you may need my help. I may be old, but I've got a very alert brain.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll remember that. And now, About my time off.
Oh, yes, yes, of course, of course. And Jenkins, careful how you drive.
Ma'am.
Over on the left, you can see the new People's Power Station. It will take about 3 years to be built, cover an area of 630,000 square meters, and employ 12,000 workers. We are building for a future, you understand?
So, what are you building for? I mean, what about your future?
To marry and produce children for the good of our country.
Does love enter into it?
Love is an irrational emotion that only complicates the life of... You would never understand.
On the contrary, I understand better than you think.
From there, you can see where the field marshal lives. In a few minutes' time, he'll start taking his walk, so if you would come this way.
Oh, I forgot my cigarettes. You go on ahead. I'll catch up with you.
The field marshal has just come out.
Where? Oh, would you like a cigarette?
Piacere Americano.
He wishes you to look.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I don't see anything. At least not very clearly. Oh. Ah, there he is. Hey, he's a nice-looking old fella. Here, you take a look. It's your turn.
The gentlemen accompanying the field marshal are Major Cornish, the aide-de-camp, and... Oh, yes, Colonel Nettling, his personal physician. Where have you been?
But where have you been?
You might have been shot.
Well, I was just looking around. Isn't that all right?
It is not permitted to leave the viewing area.
Sorry.
All right, let's go take a look at the new People's Sports Arena.
Oh, thank you.
Good night, Mr. Jenkins.
Good night, comrade.
You must forgive the intrusion, my dear, but of course I'm here on business.
Of course. Is there anything you want to know?
Mm-hmm. Where did you take the American today?
I took him on the full official tour.
Did you lose sight of him at any time?
No. Why?
A camera was found in the Field Marshal's grounds today, a camera with a telescopic lens.
Oh. You think that somebody has been taking pictures of the Field Marshal?
Mm-hmm.
Is that so serious?
What is so serious, my dear Trina, is that you should fail so deplorably in your duties.
I have already told you that the American did not leave me while we were looking at the Field Marshal.
You're lying, Trina. If anybody else should know of this, your position would be perilous. You would not wish to spend the best years of your life in prison, would you? Oh, don't be alarmed. It will not happen. Nobody would dare to accuse my future wife of acting against the state.
What do you mean?
I am asking you to marry me, my dear Trina, bearing in mind the alternative. Good night, my dear. I shall expect your reply tomorrow morning.
Just a minute. I'll be right with you. Coming. I'm coming. Oh, hello.
I would like a word with you.
Oh, fine, fine. Come on in. Come on in.
I thought you should know that a camera has been found right in the Field Marshal's grounds.
What's that got to do with me?
Nothing, I hope. Because taking unauthorized photographs is a very serious offense in our country.
Oh, now, look, comrade. I wouldn't know one end of a camera from another. But well, I'm certainly glad you dropped by. Well, you know, it gets kind of lonesome up here. All alone. Look. Comrade, how about a kiss?
I never expected you to be that
Now,
sort of a
look,
man. Goodbye, Mr.
Look,
Jenkins.
comrade! Where to, Mrs. Rosewall?
To the baths, Jenkins, please.
Yes, ma'am.
We're looking for the pictures you took of the field marshal yesterday. With this.
Pictures? What pictures? Why should I take any pictures? Anyway, if I wanted a picture of the field marshal, I could buy it in any of the shops.
It would pay you to be cooperative, Mr. Jenkins. However, if the pictures are here, we shall find them.
Oh. Well, you fellows don't mind if I sit down, do you? Since this happens to be my room.
Certainly. We'll see how thorough we can be.
Hey!
Oh, don't distress yourself, Mr. Jenkins. If you prove to be innocent, all necessary repairs will be effected by the hotel tailor at our expense.
Oh, well, that's very considerate of you.
Worried about anything, Mr. Jenkins?
As a matter of fact, I am, Colonel. Mrs. Rosewall is going to kick up quite a fuss about that cap. She chose it herself.
It will be repaired?
I should certainly hope so. I wouldn't want to walk around looking like a stuffed-up commissar.
It appears that we have made a mistake, or that you are cleverer than we are. I think more likely the former. Please accept the apologies of the People's Republic.
Oh,
Lost something?
Yeah, my money.
Oh, really? I thought you might be looking for this.
You... All right. You win. What now?
Sit down. You want this film back?
That is a ridiculous question.
I could hand it over to the police. And you will probably be shot.
That's the risk I took.
I could also offer you a deal.
A deal?
Yes. Get me to the West.
You? I thought you were dedicated to the services of your country.
To my country, yes. But not to the people who rule it. Will you help me?
If I'm going to be shot, it might as well be for acting the knight errant. Oh, and while we're on the subject, that pass I made at you last night, I apologize. I was simply trying to get you out of the room.
I know. I've seen the film spool lying on the washstand. That's why I came back in the early hours to look for this.
You searched my room while I was asleep?
Certainly. We interpreters are trained for all sorts of emergencies.
Well, like, do you have any idea how I can get you out of the country?
No. And I'm afraid it's going to be more difficult in my case than most.
Why? Are you that important?
But Colonel Gabrovsky has asked me to marry him. If I refuse, he's going to send me to prison. And he's a very ruthless man, you understand that?
When do you want to go?
Immediately.
Well, this will take a little thought.
But I'm desperate. It's either now or never.
Look, you pack all your things, but keep it to a minimum. Do you have a dress?
Yeah.
Put it on. Then write Grabowski a note telling him you're taking off. Then you're going into hiding.
Where?
The least likely place they'll look. My room.
Are we going to escape tonight?
We'll escape when we've got a plan, not before. Well, what are you waiting for?
I've never shared a room with a man before.
Yeah, well, I've never hidden a girl from the chief of police before.
Come in. Ah, Jenkins.
Good evening, ma'am. You wish to see me?
Yes, Jenkins. It appears our interpreter has disappeared.
Really? How do you mean?
Well, she seems to have vanished, and no one knows where she's gone.
When did you last see her, Mr. Jenkins?
Oh, why, this morning, when we got back from the baths. I left her in the lobby, then went straight to my room. You remember, Colonel?
And you haven't seen her since?
Oh, no, sir. Well, is there anything else, Mrs. Rosewall?
No, thank you, Jenkins. I shan't require you any more tonight.
Ma'am?
Just a moment, Mr. Jenkins. I will be giving you another interpreter immediately, Mrs. Rosewall. I do not wish you to suffer any inconvenience.
Oh, thank you.
And now you and I will have a little talk. Do you always lock your door, Mr. Jenkins?
Only since this morning. Have a chair.
So, you know nothing about Comrade Volbikov's disappearance?
No? Nothing.
Have you any idea why she should want to go?
Well, just call it male intuition, but I think she's in love.
Really? Did she say as much?
Well, I really didn't know her that well, Colonel, but she did mention a young oil worker who worked in the Grigoriev refineries. The ones that produced 7 million barrels last year?
Oh, that is interesting. She didn't mention his name, I suppose.
No. No, I don't think so.
I think perhaps you're over-romantic, Mr. Jenkins. As far as I'm aware, Comrade Volbikov is in love with no one.
Well, you knew her better than I did, Colonel. But she struck me as a very passionate woman.
Thank you for your information, Mr. Jenkins. If you can help me to find her, I shall not be ungenerous. Good night.
Oh, good night, Colonel. And you can count on me to do everything I can. You can come out now. Hey, I was right. You make a lovely hero.
Do you think he suspects anything?
Well, you heard the conversation. I would say he's a little jealous of your boyfriend.
Why did you tell him all those lies?
Throw him off the track, but it won't be for long.
But what are we going to do?
Lie low right here, so we can make a plan to get away. Let's see. Yeah. That just might work.
What are you doing?
Trying to give you a little privacy. It's not much, but it'll just have to do for tonight.
Where are you going to sleep?
In the chair, comrade. And judging from its appearance, I anticipate a very uncomfortable night. Good night, comrade. I'll call you at 8 with my breakfast.
Good night.
And so she spent the night in your room?
Believe me, Mrs. Rosewall, it was all perfectly respectable.
Oh, I'm quite sure it was, Jenkins. But you can't expect to hide the girl there for long.
I know. That's why I've come to you for help. Could she stay here with you?
That's impossible. The new interpreter is due here at any moment. Now listen, if you want my help, you must hide nothing from me. Who are you, Jenkins? And what are you doing here? Well?
My name is Straight, Mrs. Rosewall. Michael Straight. I came here to photograph Field Marshal Nodge. The CIA suspects him of being murdered 3 years ago. They think he's being impersonated.
And are they correct?
Yes. Otherwise, Grabowski wouldn't be so worried about that negative.
You still have the film?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me your confidence, Mr. Straight. Or should I call you Jenkins for the time being? Well, I should be delighted to help you and the young lady get out of the country.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rosewall. But how? I've exhausted every angle.
Now, listen. Get the young woman down here quickly.
But now, wait a minute. What's your idea?
Don't argue. Hurry. Hurry! Hello? Put me through to the manager's office immediately.
Yes, comrade.
And don't call me comrade.
Yes?
Mrs. Rosewell here. I want my bill made out. I'm leaving immediately.
But Mrs. Rosewell, is something wrong? Has something made you unhappy?
I'm very unhappy. I'm ill.
I hope that's nothing serious.
It's very serious for me. My face is covered in spots. Something tells me it's very infectious.
Of course. I quite understand, dear lady. Very well. I shall see that you have your bill right away. I do hope it's nothing serious.
If it is, the sooner she's out, the better.
I'm sorry I didn't knock.
I didn't expect you to. Well, come over here, my dear. Come along. Now then. Now, let's look at your height. Bend a little. Yes, the height's pretty good, really. We may have to pad you out a bit.
What are you planning to do?
Jenkins is going to drive you out of the country in my car. You will be disguised as me.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Mrs. Rosewall. I can't agree to that.
Why not?
Well, I can't just leave you here. What sort of a person do you think I am? I'll have to think up something else.
You'll do nothing of the kind. While you are in my employ, you will do what I say.
You're quite a lady, Mrs. Rosewall.
Well, now, hurry down to the lobby and don't let that interpreter come up. And incidentally, I'm supposed to have measles.
Oh.
Jenkins.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm determined to go through with this.
Yes, ma'am.
It's quite exciting. I feel 20 years younger. Now, my dear, off with your clothes and into something of mine.
Colonel.
Good morning, Colonel. Have they told you about Mrs. Rosewall?
Mm-hmm. What's the matter with her?
Measles, I'm afraid.
It looks as though your duties will be brief, Kerensky. However, I want you to offer whatever services you can to Mrs. Rosewall and Mr. Jenkins.
I will remain with them at all times until they reach the frontier.
Thank you very much. Oh, would you like to see Mrs. Rosewall, Colonel? I think it's fairly safe, if you've had measles.
I have not.
What about Comrade Interpreter here?
She has her duty to do. Goodbye, Mr. Jenkins. I hope you have an uneventful journey.
So do I. Oh, Colonel.
What is it?
Have you found Comrade Volvikov?
Not yet, but we will.
Want just a few more there. Oh, I think that's perfect. Now then, we tie this round. You look beautiful. You really do. Now, we just pull this a little forward. That's it.
What are you going to do when we go?
Oh, I shall take a nice book and go to the end of the corridor and lock myself in the bathroom.
But how long can you stay there?
Long enough for you to get across the border.
Last year, we produced 7 million barrels at our Grigoriev refineries, thus saving 3 months in our 5-year plan.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Mr. Jenkins, you want it on the telephone.
Oh, thank you. Yes?
Oh, Jenkins.
Yes, Mrs. Rosewall.
I shall be ready in 10 minutes. Pay my bill, will you? And then bring the car round to the front of the hotel. And then come up here and fetch me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mrs. Rosewall wants me to take care of her hotel bill, please.
Mrs. Rosewall's bill.
And would you see that her heavy luggage is sent after her, please?
Certainly.
Thank you. Now, comrade, would you check this over while I get the car? We'll be leaving in 10 minutes.
Good luck, my dear. I hope we meet again someday. Till then, au revoir.
Mrs. Rosewall,
Goodbye, my dear.
All ready, ma'am?
Goodbye, dear Mrs. Rosewall. I hope you'll be better soon. Come and see us next year.
Grabowski's coming.
Yes, Colonel?
Mrs. Rosewall dropped a handkerchief.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Within 10 years, production in the capitalist countries will have ground slowly to a halt, while ours, of course, will still be increasing.
It's amazing. Absolutely.
Furthermore, in the field of sport, we shall outstrip the West in running, jumping, and swimming. In the field of football, we have already done so. Why are you going so fast, comrade? I thought Mrs. Rosewall permitted only 30 miles an hour.
Mrs. Rosewall is ill. I want to get her to her own doctor as soon as possible.
Really? That is a police siren. Slow down.
Sorry? I didn't hear anything.
I said slow down. What is it, Sergeant?
Colonel Grabowski sent me.
Yes.
Mrs. Rosewall left her passport on the dressing table. The colonel returns it with his compliments.
Oh, thank you, officer, and thank the colonel very much, would you?
Sir.
Addisbot.
Oh, officer. Mrs. Rosewall is feeling a little ill. I have the passports. Officer. Passports? Thank you. Perhaps not quite so daring as your clubs, but then it's the best the Western world can do.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Secret, sir?
No, thank you.
You know, it's absolutely marvelous.
Yeah, well, wait till I tell you about our Texas oil wells. The most recent production figures revealed...
Jenkins!
Mrs. Rosewall, I'm so happy you could join us.
What a marvelous reunion.
Oh, I'm delighted to see you've lost your spots.
Oh, we were so worried you wouldn't get back safely.
Oh, they didn't even think I was worth a firing squad. I was deported and banned from ever going back there.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm not. I'm delighted. I've been going there for 50 years. I'm sick to death of the waters. Well, any suggestions?
I certainly have. That is, if you don't mind drinking champagne with your chauffeur.
Oh. And with an old comrade?